Welcome to Storytime Fun, boys and girls. We hope you enjoy. Today's story is out of the classic fairy tales book from Hans Christian Andersen and the Brothers Grimm, as retold by Nicola Baxter. And today's story is called The Emperor and the Nightingale. Long ago, the great empire of China had a mighty emperor. His magnificent palace was built of fragile porcelain and stood in the most beautiful garden in the world. Not only were the flowers exquisite, but the gardeners had hung tiny silver bells among them so that they tinkled little tunes among the blooms. At the end of the gardens was a wonderful forest, and beyond the forest, the deep blue sea stretched far away. It was here, at the edge of the water, that a nightingale had made its home. Sitting in the branches of a stately tree, the nightingale each evening opened her heart and sang so beautifully that even the hard-working fishermen stopped their work to hear her liquid notes. Many strangers came to the imperial palace to gasp at the porcelain and the treasures inside. Of course, they were equally amazed by the intricate gardens and the trees beyond, but every visitor who had heard the song of the nightingale could not help exclaiming, "Everything here is wonderful beyond belief, but nothing compares to the song of this magical bird." When they returned to their own countries, some of the visitors wrote books describing the extraordinary things they had seen, and all of them ended up by praising the nightingale's song above everything else. Now, the emperor was very fond of reading books about his country, and he was especially fond of reading about his amazing palace and its grounds. He felt proud to be the owner of such a magnificence. You can imagine his surprise when he first read an account that rated the nightingale's song more highly than all his costly possessions. "Why, I have never heard the song of this bird, although she lives within my grounds," he asked his courtiers. "Bring her to me tonight, for I must hear her sing." The courtiers had never heard of the nightingale. They ran all over the palace searching for someone who had heard of her, but with no success. "Perhaps the story in your books has been invented by the author, your Imperial Highness," suggested the courtiers. "Nonsense," said the emperor. "You must all search harder." The courtiers were almost at their wits' end when they found a young maid in the emperor's enormous kitchens. "I have heard the nightingale sing many times when I go down to the shore to visit my mother," she said. "It is a truly wonderful sound." The courtiers insisted that the kitchen maid lead them to the nightingale's tree, but they themselves had no idea what her song would be like. And as they walked through the forest, beyond the gardens, they heard a deep, booming sound. "Oh, what a beautiful song!" they cried. "We have found the nightingale." "No, no," said the kitchen maid. "That is a cow calling to its calf." Next, the courtiers heard a bubbling, chirping sound. "There, that's the nightingale," they declared. "How beautiful!" "No," replied the kitchen maid, looking at them in amazement. That is a frog calling across a pond. Just then, the nightingale began to sing. A ribbon of beautiful sound shimmered in the air. The kitchen maid pointed to a little brown bird on a branch. That is the nightingale, she said. The courtiers were amazed that such a drab bird could make such a beautiful sound, but they invited her to the palace that evening as the emperor had commanded. The nightingale was astonished that she should be summoned in such a way, but she went along willingly to sing to the owner of the palace and the gardens and the forest and of the sea. The entire court gathered with the emperor to hear the nightingale sing that evening. A special golden stand has been made for her to perch on. As the nightingale's first notes trembled in the air, tears rolled down the emperor's cheeks. He had never heard anything so beautiful. Everyone else in the room was equally moved. The little bird was a great success. After that, the nightingale had to live in the palace. She had her own golden cage and 12 servants. Twice a day, she was allowed to fly around a little bit, but one of the servants kept hold of a silken thread attached to her leg, so she was never allowed to fly free. One day, a present arrived for the emperor. It was a mechanical bird made of gold and silver and precious jewels. When it was wound up with a golden key, the bird sang one of the nightingale's songs, moving its shining tail. It was a gift from the Emperor of Japan. The mechanical bird sang very well, and what is more, it always sang exactly the same song over and over again. The real nightingale sang as her heart told her, sometimes happily, sometimes sadly, sometimes loudly, sometimes softly. This mechanical bird will never disappoint you, Your Imperial Highness, said the court musician, and she is much more beautiful than the real nightingale. So it was generally agreed in the palace that the mechanical bird was preferable to the living songstress, which was just as well, for the real nightingale had taken advantage of the commotion to fly through the window and back to its old free life in the forest. Only the poor people, who were sometimes allowed to hear the mechanical bird, shook their heads and said to themselves, "No, there is something missing. This is not as beautiful as the real bird." A year passed. The mechanical nightingale sat on a silken cushion on the emperor's left side, which was a position of great privilege. But one day, when the bird was wound up with the golden key, as usual, it merely said, "Kurr, kurr." The bird had sung so often that its mechanism was worn out. Luckily, the court watchmaker was able to repair the bird, but he warned that in the future she must only sing once a year. Several years passed, and the people of China were shocked to learn that their emperor was dangerously ill. He lay pale and cold on his magnificent bed. The courtiers were so sure that he was about to die that they began to pay court to the man who would be the next emperor. In the middle of the night, as the moonlight streamed through his open window, the emperor was visited by fears and phantoms. Sing, he begged the mechanical nightingale at his side, hoping to drown out his dark thoughts. But there was no one to wind up the wonderful bird, so it remained silent. Suddenly, through the open window, the emperor heard a wonderful sound. It was the real nightingale, perched on a branch outside and singing her heart out. As she sang, the emperor's fevered mind was soothed, and his illness left him. "Thank you, little bird," he gasped. "I don't deserve your help after the way I have treated you, but now you must remain in my palace and sing to me every day." "Oh, no, my lord," said the nightingale. "I cannot live in a palace, but I will come of my own free will and sing outside your window as often as I can. And I will do something more for you. I will tell you what the poorest people in your land are thinking and feeling, something that you cannot know, surrounded as you are by the courtiers eager to impress you. But you must promise never to tell anyone what I am doing." The emperor promised gladly and fell into a deep, refreshing sleep. When the servants came at last to look at their dead emperor, they found him alive and smiling, ready to take up the reins of power again. The emperor ruled for many more years, more wisely and well than ever before. But he kept the nightingale's secret to the end of his days. Well, that's it for today. We'll see you next time.